Yo, what's up, everyone?
Yo,
So I'm gonna give it a few minutes for people to file in here, and then we'll get this going. So just give it like 2 minutes or whatever, and then I'll come back.
all right, bro,
I'm
we
excited
got it.
for this. We got a
Oh
lot
yeah,
going on.
salute to everybody in the Animal Farm chat, guys. If you didn't know, you are in the midst of the greatest farm ever made. Being able to have a position here early, a fair opportunity was given to all of us. We had the farm pre-sale, right? The Manor Farm pre-sale had hard caps. So nobody was going to be able to have any extra crazy advantage. We all had the same shot. And now we have these 2 weeks to accumulate as much Rev tokens as we can. And as we're building up these Rev tokens, it's going to put us in a better position to be able to participate in the greatest farm ever made. Ray, why is this the greatest farm ever made? It's the greatest farm ever made because we get the opportunity to own part of the farm. Pigs governance token is going to give us ownership to a $100 million, potentially multi-billion dollar farm within the animal farm. Imagine the possibilities. Right now, we're given an opportunity to be able to accumulate as much as we can to be able to go and transition into this other farm. So it's very important that we take this very serious. Everything else in crypto pales in comparison to what we're doing here within the drip community and within this farm, the Manor farm community, the animal farm community. A lot of you guys are new to our community. Welcome. And we're passionate about, what we participate in because we know how real it is. We have a transparent leader. We have a wonderful community, wonderful promoters out there who are also passionate about drip, also passionate about the Manor farm, and they share their experiences every day on multiple social media platforms. So what we've created here is an ultimate promotional band that marches down the street and bumps our chest because we not only, have the tokenomics, we not only have the platform, but we also been able to accumulate and build this incredible bag where this developer, ForexShark, if you didn't know his name, he's been able to change the lives of many people within our community. So now, in my personal experience, my son, baby Ray, no, he don't gotta eat concentrated juice no more. He don't gotta drink concentrated juice no more. He drinks organic now. Why? Because of the success that I've been able to achieve, investing in the projects and products of ForexShark within the Drip Network community, within the REAP token, within the BREAP token, within everything that he's made has turned into gold, not only for myself, but for the majority of the community. Everyone has been able to eat who stayed tried and true within this community. So now we're entering another great opportunity that is going to be life-changing for many of us. So I salute everybody in the chat, and I welcome all the new people coming into the animal farm. No, this is not like any other farm that you have been a part of or any other community that you've been a part of. This is the greatest farm ever made, and we're going to stand on that, and we're going to promote this thing because it's not only going to be done with the hands of Forex. It's not only going to be done with, development teams. No, it's going to be a effort that's going to be pushed by the community. The revolution is now. And we're coming into this, clicking Twitter links, voting, doing what we have to do to be able to push this thing as far as we can. So it's a community effort to take this to the top. Shout out to everybody in that, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, man! That was super hype. Super
Let's
hype.
go.
Yeah. All right. So we're just we are. Let me see. 4 days away from let me see. Friday, Saturday, Monday. So we're five on Tuesday. So 5 days, we're going to be the Manor farm will be ending, and we'll be starting the migration phase from L1 to L2. And this is when people that are in the farm now and who have been accumulating rev become farmers to farmers and owners, right? So everybody who has rev now that uses it to migrate over to L2 will be a share owner of the animal farm in the L2. So the way this is going to work is on Tuesday at 11 a.m. EST, we're going to set a 48-hour timer. The emissions will stop. So that means rev will stop being created, will stop being minted and given to people in the rev pool. People that hold rev liquidity can remove that liquidity, take the BNB or BUSD that you have paired with the rev token, use it to buy rev, and prepare for the L2 pre-sale. Now, we're going to have a public and a private raise for L2. We want to ensure that there's no opportunity for bots or anybody to game the system for L2. So the way that we're doing it is the public will be able to enter the L2 presale with the rev token. For getting in with the rev token, you'll get a 20% better exchange rate and no cap on your max allocation. So that means if you have $100,000 worth of rev, you can get 120. If you have $100,000 worth of rev, you can get $120,000 worth of dog and pig tokens, the farm and the governance token, from entering the L2 presale with rev. So this is one of the rare occasions where the community and the public are getting a better deal than private investors. And I don't believe any project has done that before. The reason why we're doing it like that is because this is a true revolution, as Ray said, where the people and the community become the new leaders and the new owners of this system. So as an owner and as a leader in the system, you're getting an exclusive exchange rate and an exclusive allocation size as if it was a private sale. So 20% better rate and no max allocation. The reason why we could do a no max allocation raise with Rev is because at the end of the 48 hours, we then remove liquidity, the team, myself, I'll be handling this personally. We will remove liquidity from the Rev token, and all of that capital, that BUSD, which is, $20 plus million right now, it'll be a lot more by the time we get to Tuesday, will be removed from the liquidity pool and migrated over to L2. Because of this, it's a situation where that demand is being migrated over as well. And it's not, so the purpose of doing a limited presale is you want to keep demand high for when it lists, and you want to limit the availability of the token that you're listing when it launches. In this case, though, the capital from the Rev token is being migrated over. So that capital is being paid out to people that stake the dog and pig tokens in L2. So that demand remains, because the only way you're going to access that capital associated with that Rev token is by staking in the platform for a period of time. So it keeps the demand associated with all that capital being migrated over in the system, and then we to allow for the initial starting liquidity, we're going to have a small private raise where we'll raise 40% of the capital that's migrated over. And this will be how we get the initial listing liquidity for the liquidity pool, that initial capital. It'll be split between the dog and pig token, and then all of that capital that's migrated over from L2 gets paid out to the people in L2 in the form of buybacks and in the form of direct BUSD payout for people in the pig pen, which is the governance staking pool for people that own pigs. So essentially how that works is, say there's $100 million in the Rev liquidity pool. We migrate that over. 60% of it, so 60 million, gets paid out to the people in the pigs governance pool. This is the people that get into the pre-sale with Rev or with BUSD. They get their dog and pigs, they take those pig tokens, and they stake them in the pig pen, the governance pool. You're now going to get 60% of all that capital that was migrated over from L1 paid to you in the form of BUSD over the course of the first 50, 60 days. The other 40% that's migrated over is being used for buybacks split between the dog and pig tokens. So the initial liquidity for the dog and pig tokens is going to come from the private raise. All that capital that's being raised in the private raise gets split between the dog and pig tokens at listing, and that creates starting liquidity for both tokens. The 40% of capital that's migrated over from L1 is then used over the course of the first couple of months to buy the dog and pig token directly off the market. So this is two methods of paying the people the capital that was locked up in L1 in the form of BUSD to the participants of the animal farm, both through the governance pool and through buyback from them holding the token. So literally all of the capital right now that you could decide you want to sell Rev for, if you sold your Rev for this capital right now you don't have Rev, you can't get into the L2 pre-sale at the best exchange rate. You're going to get capped on how much you're able to put into the raise. And then when L2 launches, you're not going to have that position in the governance pool and holding the dog and pig tokens. So you're not going to get paid out that BUSD that you otherwise would have gotten. So people who sell the Rev token now for whatever BUSD you could get for it are missing out on an opportunity to get that same BUSD paid out to you in L2 without giving up your stake in the platform. So if you hold, say, just $100 worth of Rev tokens right now, you take those Rev tokens, you get it to L2, you get a 20% better exchange rate, you're able to put the full $100 in, you get dog and pig tokens, you put those pig tokens in the governance pool, you start farming the pig tokens with your dogs, and you just, take advantage of the animal farm, you will have that $100 paid to you over the course of the first day, most likely, and you still were able to get your spot in L2. So this is why you see the price of the Rev token appreciating and really no large sells at all, is because people realize, especially the whales, the ones that are paying attention, realize that any capital that you would be able to sell your Rev token for right now will be paid to you in L2 in the form of BUSD without needing to give up your position and your share of the platform. And now you're a part owner, and it's not a one-time payment where you sell, you get your BUSD, and that's it. It's a system now. You own your dogs, you own your pigs, you're farming pigs with the dog token and the other collateral pools in the farm, and now you're continuing to earn that $100. So I'm pleased with how well the community has been able to grasp this, and it's obvious that they've been able to grasp this just by the fact that you don't see any major corrections in the REV token. Of course, when we launched, the price did 40x in less than 2 minutes. You're going to have some weak hands that see, the price just went up 40x in 2 minutes. I'm going to take some profit. But the vast majority of people held, and when I say the vast majority, I'm talking like 90 plus percent of people held, and it really shows that the community is educating themselves, and L2 is going to be as powerful as I believe it will be. So when we were talking about, I wouldn't say goals, but where we thought L1 could be, I'm sure a lot of you have heard these other AMAs and heard me talking about it. And I specifically said that I thought that we would get around $50 million in L2. Currently, right now, we have about 60 million, and we still have, almost a whole another week to raise capital. So it's looking like we're going to double, if not triple, the amount of capital that we projected for the Manor farm. And all of this capital coming in are people that understand the system and are preparing for L2. And this is apparent because of the price, right? We don't see any major sells. We see a constant accumulation of capital on the Manor farm. And keep in mind, this is $60 million while the whole market is crashing. So this TVL is using a dollar value that is being determined by the market rate of all the tokens in the platform. The market's down like 20%, 25% since we launched since we launched the farm. So this is hitting $60 million in tokens that are down 25%. So I think that the two most sustainable models and the two most low-risk models in a bear market are yield farms, if they're designed properly, and a daily, I don't want to say daily ROI platforms, because there really are no daily ROI platforms like Drip. So I'm just going to say and Drip, right? Because you really only have a few options for bear markets, right? You could sell, you can get completely out of the game. You could do some sort of lending protocol that allows you to take your stables and start earning on those stables, or you can short the market, right? We all know that 90+% of people that try to short the crypto market end up getting liquidated. They end up with nothing. So let's cut that off the list, right? Then we have lending protocols. So there are centralized lending protocols, and we see those can be hit or miss, right? But their APYs are very small, and there are issues with them, right? It's centralized control. There are people that have access to these wallets with sometimes billions of dollars in them. We see what happened with, I don't want to name names, but there was just not that long ago that accidentally paid out the BTC rate of so they paid out BTC at the USD rate. So people that were supposed to get paid $50 that day got paid out 50 Bitcoin. And of course, this came from the capital and the collateral of everybody in the system. So when you have centralized control platforms like this, you're extremely limited in the way that you can use the funds. It's extremely, based on trust, and the protocols are not hard coded. So you can have issues like some intern accidentally switching USD to BTC and paying out $50 million instead of $50, So also, as everybody that's been in crypto for a long time knows, not your keys, not your coins, right? So when you use these centralized lending protocols, not only are you getting a low APY and you're in a trust-based model where you're hoping some intern doesn't actually change USD to BTC and, drain the pool on accident, you're also dealing with the risk that the owners could, rug pull and take off. And you're also dealing with regulation and all the issues that come with that, because most of these are US-based companies. So when I look at these centralized lending platforms, I kind of look at it as picking up pennies in front of freight trains, right? You're putting however much, all your Bitcoin, all your ETH, all your stable into a platform to earn an extra 10, 15% a year with all of these crazy high risks of centralization, regulation, all of these things, right? And then I would say the third option is a decentralized lending protocol that also allows for yield aggregation. So this is exactly what we have with the Manor farm and Animal Farm, which is the layer 2, the more advanced model, where a lot of these game-changing innovations and functionality gets put in place and starts operating. L1 is essentially our launch phase. So we're up $60+ million in TVL in our launch phase. The real mechanics of the platform haven't even started yet. So this shows the confidence that we have. A lot of these other projects, if you go on RugDoc and check out what they're raising 5 million, 10 million, 15 million for good ones. We got 60 million in our launch phase, and we still got a week to go. Whatever, 5 days to go. So now let me just get back to where I was with the three options. The three options I feel for bear markets. It's centralized lending protocols, which comes with a lot of issues. How I see it is picking up pennies in front of freight trains. There's shorting the market, where 90+% of the people get wrecked and liquidated. And then there's a decentralized lending protocol that allows for liquidity aggregation through yield farming. Now, there are several options for this kind of protocol. I believe that Animal Farm is designed to be the most advanced, the most decentralized, the most trustless, and the highest performing of these types of protocols. So let me talk about some of the mechanics of L2 that separate us from all the other yield farms out there. For one, we have a true lending protocol. Now, there's a lot of yield farms that might use the terminology lending protocol, but really it's just a platform where you add some liquidity to different tokens and you get a liquidity provider fee, plus they mint some reward token. With the Animal Farm, it's a true lending protocol. And the reason why I say that is because all of the collateral that is staked on the platform is then managed by our trustless rehypothecation contract that lends this collateral to different decentralized exchanges to earn a high yield at low risk. Now, currently, we're operating with only PancakeSwap because PancakeSwap is the lowest risk DEX on BSC. And we want to ensure that we're operating with as low risk as possible. So PancakeSwap is allowing us to earn an additional 30 to 40% APY on almost all of the capital that we have staked on the platform. This APY is paid out in cake, and this cake goes immediately to supporting our protocol, our platform, in the form of buybacks, in the form of a marketing budget, and in the form of essentially creating a self-sustaining model. So because we have these additional rehypothecation contracts in the back end, doing all of these deposits and the lending system and getting PancakeSwap and swapping that pancake for tokens that can be used to do the buybacks and all of this, there's additional gas associated with it. A percentage of all the capital that is generated through this lending protocol is used to pay the gas for these additional transactions. This keeps the gas cost low for the user and also ensures that no matter what happens to me, the platform can always be self-sustaining and can always maintain itself and always do this lending in the back end to earn this additional capital, whether I'm managing it or not. So this, of course, is extremely important because the Animal Farm is the first truly decentralized ownership yield farm lending protocol. So all of the deposit fees, all of the taxes associated with the tokens, and a percentage of all the yield that's generated on the platform goes to the people who are the owners of the platform, which are those who are in the pig pen. And the pig pen is the yield, it's the governance staking protocol for our pig token. And I'm going back and forth between pig pen and pig palace with the theming. You know, maybe we'll have a vote from the community to see which one we go with. But anyways, that's tens of millions of dollars that would be generated, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars over time. But I'm talking in the first few months, tens of millions of dollars, which would be generated in the form of BUSD and paid out to the owners. And this is sustainable and truly trustless and decentralized because this payment protocol happens trustlessly, and it's hard-coded into the protocol. So there doesn't need to be any kind of function called by me to pay this capital out. It's happening on a constant basis as capital is generated. It's being migrated in the form of BUSD over to this protocol. And the gas used to do all these transactions is being paid for by the user, but all the additional back-end transactions are being paid for through the capital raise in the lending protocol. So that allows us to keep the gas down and make it extremely efficient, but also extremely self-sustainable and trustless because it's all baked into the protocol. It's all self-sustaining. So there's that. We are a true lending protocol, and we are truly decentralized. Another function or another mechanism that allows the Animal Farm to be truly decentralized is the governance protocol that allows for voting. So when we want to add a new mechanism, or we want to add an additional layer, or we want to work with a new partner, you know, whenever a major I don't know what you want to call it, whenever any kind of major new layer or any kind of major development change happens, on the animal farm, it will be done through a voting protocol. And the way this will go, right, is because I believe you do need to have some kind of direction, some sort of direction for people that know what they're doing, that understand the space well, understand development well, and have the best interest at heart for the project. But you want the community to have a say. So the way that we do the governance voting protocol is we have a vote on the community about specific proposals. These proposals can be presented by anyone. After it's voted on by the community, it then gets put in front of the development team. The development team looks at it and says, all right, is this possible? Does this make sense given, the technical aspect of Binance Smart Chain and crypto and Solidity in general? Does this make sense? Is this going to be sustainable? Is this going to benefit current users as well as attract and benefit new capital coming in? If it meets all the requirements, then we have a vote which can only be participated by people who are staked in the pig pen, the owners of the platform, the owners of the platform. And there are a lot of other models that have some sort of governance protocol, but the way their governance protocol is you just hold the tokens in your wallet. The governance protocol looks at your wallet, says, all right, this is how many tokens you have. You get a vote for every token you hold. We don't do it like that. You only get a say in the vote if you have a stake in the platform. So you need to have those pig tokens staked in the protocol. Now, you get a vote for every pig token you have staked in the protocol. We have a vote on it. If it passes this vote, then we implement the new development layer. Now, L2 is immutable, right? So we're not going to have any kind of major development change to L2. The reason for this is because I feel like when you develop something, people need to be able to get into it with confidence. Just like with Drip, there's that confidence that the key values and the key functionality and the mechanics of the platform are immutable and will not be changed. And this is the case with the animal farm. But we have the ability to add additional layers. The first layer that will be proposed that I'm 100% sure we'll go with is a partnership vault. So the way partnership vaults will go is a project that reaches out to us that wants to have some partnership with the animal farm will need to provide some percentage of their total supply to our platform. Those tokens will then be used as a reward in the vault for people who pair their token with one of our tokens in their liquidity pool, stake it in the vault, and now those people will earn the partner's token. So this is a way that we can add additional value, additional use case, do cross promotion, bring on large investor bases that aren't associated with our community without having to pay out in our tokens. So without diluting the supply of our token and without causing any kind of price depreciation or anything like that. And of course, it's a major benefit for our partners because they get exposure and they get platformed by the highest performing, most advanced yield farm lending protocol in crypto. So there's already so many different teams reaching out to us for this kind of partnership. And I'm most likely going to put one of our admins in charge of just dealing with this because we need someone that is full-time answering requests from different partners. That's the kind of volume of requests that we're getting from different projects that want to give us a percentage of their supply to use as a reward to get platformed on our protocol. So that's going to be L3. Now, that isn't going to replace L2. It's just going to be another option for people that want to stake on our platform. So L2 will exist. L2 will continue to operate as designed. There'll be additional vaults for people that want to get in and earn other project tokens, right? But to do that, you will have to pair that other project token with one of our native tokens, which adds additional liquidity, more demand, more price appreciation. So that's an example of something that we'll be able to vote on as a community, and something that will be proposed very shortly after the launch of L2, a couple months after, most likely. Now, I want to talk about something very cool that it's an adjustment that we made with the tax protocol on L2 that I know you guys are going to love, right? Because it really kind of, when we initially thought about it, it made me extremely, extremely excited, right? And I know you guys will be equally as excited about it. So the dog token has a tax. It has a 3% tax when you transact it. This 3% tax is essentially what it does is when you swap dogs for BUSD or for any other token, that token is then exchanged for BUSD, or if it's BUSD, it just remains in BUSD, and that's paid out to the owners of the platform, the stakers of the pig token. This is another cash flow that is going to the owners. When I say owners, I mean all of you that are accumulating Rev right now. There's another 3% tax that goes to adding liquidity to the dog token. Now, this is the adjustment that we made that I'm so excited to tell you guys about, and that I have to add to the white paper, but I wanted to announce it first here. Instead of this 3% fee when someone transacts a dog token going to the liquidity pool from, the selling of the dog token, right? Instead, that BUSD that is added to the dog token when someone transacts is coming from the deposit fees. So the reason why this is so cool and innovative and important is I didn't like the idea that there would be a baked-in sell of the dog token anytime anybody did any transaction, right? And that's essentially what it is. If you're adding liquidity to the dog token on every transaction, the only way to do that and bake it into the transaction, like I was saying, is by selling 3% of the dog token that's transacted and then pairing that with the dogs. Even though it's only a 3% rate and it's going to the liquidity pool, so it's still, that value is not leaving dogs, right? The value is remaining in dogs. It's just going to the liquidity pool, but at a very slight impact on price. We developed a way to cause price appreciation through this tax while adding liquidity. And the way that goes is when someone transacts dogs, 3% is sent to the pig pen, the pig governance pool, in the form of BUSD. 3% is then paired with BUSD from the deposit fees on the platform, which is essentially another form of buyback. And it adds locked liquidity to the dog token. So this causes price appreciation plus adds liquidity every time someone swaps the dog token. We're the first platform to integrate this kind of model where the deposit fee is constantly adding liquidity and price appreciation into the token, right? So this is an adjustment that we made from 3% of the dogs being transacted are sold for BUSD and added to the liquidity pool to 3% of the dogs that are being traded get paired with BUSD from the deposit fees on the platform and added to the liquidity pool. That is, it might seem like a small detail, but in the grand scheme of things, that's massive. That's a ton more capital. That's price appreciation on every transaction instead of a slight price depreciation on every transaction, but it's still allowing for a greater and a constantly growing locked liquidity pool for dogs and a rising price floor every time someone swaps it. So I'm extremely, extremely excited about that. And then on top of this, only on sales, when someone sells the dog token, there's a 3% burn. So it takes that dog token and sends it to a dead address and a 0x000 address. So it's gone forever. This or these three functions or three mechanics associated with the dog token allows it to become a deflationary asset. Now, you might be thinking, how can a farm reward token be a deflationary asset if it's emitting tokens to pay the reward? And that's when we get into another one of our major innovations, which it might be, it's hard to say which is the largest innovation because they all compound on each other to make something that is truly unique and gives us a first mover advantage in the space. But I'm talking about our dynamic emission rate using our decentralized dynamic supply control algorithm, which is something we spent months designing and testing and building. And the way it works is we have an algorithm which is completely trustless, right? It's hard-coded, immutable contract that looks at the demand for the dog and pig token, and based on the current demand for the token, it then determines what the emission rate for the dog and pig tokens, and it's handled separately. So there's two algorithms, one looking at the dog token, one looking at the pig token. And it's tracking the current demand for the token, and based on this demand, it adjusts the emission rate within a range. So the reason why we set a range is because when it's in extremely high demand, we don't want extremely high emissions, right? And if at one point it became low demand, we don't want extremely low emissions. We want it to always be more profitable and more attractive for people to farm with it rather than, scalp trade it and just hold it. But we want to ensure that no matter what the market conditions are, we can see price appreciation. Because there's two ways that you can reward people in a lending protocol yield farm. And that is in price appreciation and APY. And if you have to choose between one or the other, which you do, right? Because you can set up a protocol to maximize both, but there's always a trade-off there between high APY and high price appreciation. It's always better to go with higher price appreciation. And the reason for this is when you look at sites like Dex Tools, CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, all of these sites, StapRadar, the main value that they're looking at to determine whether you're a top gainer, whether you're a top mover, whether you're trending, all of these lists, all of these, free promotion essentially, or free marketing, the main value they're looking at is price, not APY. So in order to get maximal promotional impact. And also, there's a saying, there's nothing more bullish you can do for marketing than causing a new all-time high, right? Because people love to buy at all-time high. So we developed this algorithm to always put price appreciation first. And the way it does this is by having a peg. So we went and we looked at all of the yield farms in the space that have a stable price or an appreciating price. We looked at their different mechanics, which none of them have close to what we're doing as far as functionality, mechanics, utility, forms of cash flow. But some of them are still able to be sustainable and still able to have a consistent, if not appreciating price. And the one commonality between all of them is they chose a correct emission rate, which is more attractive for people to farm with it, and it's always more attractive for people to get in and utilize it in the platform than just to hold it and trade it. But it's not emitting at such a rate to cause price depreciation. So we looked at these rates. We did some calculations to look at what our starting supply is versus what our emission rate would be. And we chose a peg that's right in the sweet spot there to allow for price appreciation and for a sustainable, attractive emission rate for farmers. And this is how we got our peg. And then we extended that peg out to a range. Now this range is at a max 25% over the peg and at a low 50% of the peg. Now, when we're at max, this is when the price is at all-time high and the demand is at all-time high. The APY is also at all-time high. This ensures that people who are now buying in, and of course with the price at all-time high, demand is at all-time high, buying in is at all-time high, that it's the most attractive for them to put those tokens in the farm. It's as attractive as it could be given our protocol, right? And we'll see APY similar to what we see in L1, right? Which are very high, but sustainably high, as you can see. It's going to be a lot more sustainable in L2 because of all the awesome mechanics we're adding onto it. Now, when the price is at all-time high, the emission rate is 25% over this peg. So it allows the emission rate to also be at all-time high and have a high APY. Now, if the demand was to wane or there was a correction over 25%, the emission rate adjusts down 25% to this peg. And if you hear my dog, the mailman just showed up, so that's what that is. But so it adjusts down to this peg, which is proven to be a sustainable rate on farms that don't have nearly the mechanics that we have, right? Now, if the price was then to be bought back up, which it likely would be, because now the supply has shrunk, allowing that demand to have more of a positive impact on the price, because there's only two factors that determine price, that's supply and demand. So we have the demand and we can adjust the supply. One second.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hopefully you guys got your questions ready. So that way, I think he answered a lot of great questions that was asked already, but make sure you have your questions ready also.
Sorry, I just put my dog outside. So there are only two factors that determine price, right? And that's supply and demand. So we create demand by all of the innovations that we're bringing into the space and a consistent marketing budget. And we also are creating artificial demand through our buybacks and our different cash flows, which are buying the token. And then we control the supply through our supply control algorithm. So now if the price was to do a 25% correction, the emission rate adjusts 25%, gets to our peg, which now shrinks the supply and allows for the current demand to cause price appreciation. Now we get back to all-time high. The emission rate adjusts back up 25%, and we continue at our maximal emission rate. Now, if the price was to do a 50% or greater correction, the emission rate adjusts down 25% below this peg, and now, due to the different tax protocols associated with the tokens, they are now being emitted at a lesser rate than they are being removed from supply through our deflationary mechanics. So now you're being rewarded a deflationary asset, and maybe even more importantly, a deflationary asset that allows you to secure a profit in the form of BUSD without selling the token in the pigpen, the ownership protocol. There has never been a farm out there with this kind of mechanism. So all of the other farms out there blindly emit. So they have a rate of tokens that they mint, and they emit every block. And no matter what the demand is, no matter what the price is doing, they keep minting. They keep emitting this. So you can have a token that is just tanking. And what do? They increase the supply, right? Only adding fuel to the fire. We have the first protocol that allows us to address the supply side of the supply-demand price calculation to allow for price appreciation in any given market condition. This mechanic alone sets us apart in a major way and gives us a major first mover advantage over all of the other protocols out there. When you pair that with the fact that you can earn a profit on the platform in the form of BUSD without ever selling the token, it removes much of the incentive for selling, and it removes the majority of the speculation that causes new farmers to end up losing capital because they get shaken out. It removes a lot of the risk associated with it, and it allows people to earn essentially a dividend, like how being an owner of a company through stock allows you to earn a dividend. It's a low risk payment model that allows you to earn as the system as a whole grows. So not only is the value of the tokens appreciating, which is, which is comparable to a stock appreciating, you're also being paid a what is comparable to a dividend in the form of the BUSD payout as an owner and a staker in the pigpen. So we're using models that we know work in traditional markets and bringing them into DeFi for the first time, right? And we're doing it in the way that DeFi was designed to be, right? In a completely trustless and a completely decentralized model. So let me talk about the migration, all right, one more time. And also, actually, before I do that, let me just speak on the BUSD rewards, okay? So on L1, we raised $500,000 500,000 BUSD, which was put in a vault and paid out based on your share of that pool over 14 days. Now, because it's a limited amount of BUSD and there's a lot of capital in the farm, those payouts, I essentially look at them as a bonus, right? Because the real value there is in accumulating your rev to use in the L2 pre-sale. That's where you're really going to get your value. And then that value will be realized in the pig pen, the pig governance protocol, in the form of BUSD payouts. But we wanted people to earn some, or we wanted people to be able to secure some profit and take some risk off the table through L1 as well. So basically what I'm getting at is the payouts for L2 in the form of BUSD in the Pigpen in the governance protocol are going to be exponentially larger and consistent in L2. So don't look at L1 and don't look at the safe house in L1 and say, I'm making about this much BUSD in L1, I'll make about this much in L2. That's not the case, because L1 only had 500,000 BUSD that's paid out to everybody over 14 days based on your share of the pool, whereas L2 has tens of millions of dollars, which is paid out. Already, we know that L2 is going to have tens of millions of dollars paid out to it in the governance pool in the form of BUSD, right? So the capital that you see being paid out to you in L2 is going to be right now, just at the values we're looking at right now, 20, 30, 40x what you're getting in the safe house. That's, what we're looking at now, not even counting all the growth we're going to see in a week, all the deposit fees which gets paid, all of the tax percentage which is paid. Right? I'm just talking about just what we have now getting migrated over to L2. It's already tens of millions of dollars, right? So that's already to over 20x more that you will make in L2 on your capital, based on like what the capital you have in the safe house. If you had that same amount of capital in L2, currently at these rates, you'd be getting paid over 20x more in the form of BUSD and L2. And then this isn't a rate where it runs out because it's one raise that goes there. It's a consistent cash flow that's always being raised and always being paid out. So, these BUSD payouts are going to be massive, and they're going to benefit those most who get in with Rev to the L2 pre-sale. So the migration for L2, let me just, because we have like almost twice the amount of people as we had when this first started. The way that it's going to go is on Tuesday, we're going to start a 48-hour countdown. This 48-hour countdown will be a period that allows people who have not got into Rev yet to get into Rev, and it allows people to remove their liquidity of the Rev token and use their use the BUSD or the BNB that they paired with Rev to buy the Rev. This way, now they are fully allocated in Rev and can use it for the L2 pre-sale. We have some marketing that's coming up that will also be bringing in a lot of new capital and new investors, and they wouldn't have been, or they will not have been a part of L1. So this is their opportunity to buy Rev as well. So I expect a massive price spike in Rev token in the last 48 hours. When that 48-hour countdown hits zero, the dev team, managed by me, we then remove the liquidity, that initial liquidity that we added to the Rev token, and then we take the Rev that has been sent to our contract through the buyback protocol, and we use that to remove the rest of the BUSD in the Rev pool. So now we have all of the BUSD from the Rev pool, both the BNB and the BUSD pool, and we migrate that over to L2. Right? The price that we remove liquidity from the Rev token at is the price that will be respected for the L2 presale. So if we remove liquidity on the Rev token at $500, those who get into the L2 presale with Rev will get $600, 600 BUSD value for every Rev they put into the L2 presale. The reason why it's 600, not 500, is because there's a 20% bonus on your allocation if you get in with the Rev token. And there's no allocation size limits. The reason why we can do no allocation size limits is because all of that demand for the Rev token has allowed for this accumulated pool of capital, which is all being migrated over to L2 and paid out in the first couple months to the people that are participants in L2. So this carries over and maintains that demand on L2. And then we have a limited BUSD raise that we'll be handling privately using whitelisting to ensure that no bots or whales or anybody gets in with more than they should. We're going to have that raised in the Reap DAO. That's where we always do our raises. We will have some competitions as well for this. So we'll have an invite competition where you can get a whitelisting spot by inviting people. And we'll also have a very limited raise in the Drip group and in a few partner groups like Bartertown, like Thomas, etc. So that's how we'll handle that. All of that capital raised in the form of BUSD will get added to the dog and pig liquidity pool. This is how the initial starting liquidity is created for the dog and pigs. Now, we take 60% of the BUSD that was removed from L1. That gets paid out in the form of BUSD to the pig stakers over the first couple months of the farm, the first 50 days, actually. Now, the other 40% that's removed from L1 goes directly to buying the dog and the pig tokens. And this is all that we'll do. We'll go to a specific wallet that can only buy the dog and pig tokens. And this is a way that you add liquidity, but you add liquidity over time in a way that causes price appreciation. So, and I see Stunner here too. We'll have a private raise in Crypto Winner Circle as well, like we always do. You know, it's funny. I've been in Crypto Winner Circle for years. When I launched Reap, the first place that I announced that I launched a token was in Crypto's Winner Circle. So these guys have been with us from the start. And, you know, anybody who got into Reap when I announced it in Crypto Winner Circle, you know, they turned $1,000 into, you know, who knows, $100,000 plus. So, you know, that's, we've had so much amazing support from these different groups that we work with. And Crypto's Winner Circle has been one of the groups leading this, right? So they'll always get my support and my cooperation. So this is how the migration over from L1 to L2 will go. Those who get in with the Rev token will get their P-Rev. They will get their P-Dog and their P-Pig, which stands for the pre-sale dog and pig token. Now, with the Rev raise, we had a non-whitelisting raise, and we had an anti-bot protocol, but because we didn't do any kind of whitelisting, we left it relatively open. There was one person who used a contract to get about 7% of the raise, total raise, which isn't a huge amount, but it's enough that we decided we're going to do it fully whitelisting. Because if you look at who sold at the launch of L1, who sold the rep token, it was that one entity, and like I said, more than 90% of the people held, right? And for holding, they're now up, this crazy, right? They're up 10x plus, making huge money in the farm, right? So the goal is to always be getting better. The goal is to always be learning and always being adjusting, right? So we're going to handle the raise for the initial liquidity privately, using a whitelisting. When I say privately, I mean the majority of the raise will happen in the DAO, but we'll also have small, limited private raises, both in the drip group and in some of the influencer groups that we work with. So that is something that I'm extremely, extremely bullish about. I actually just got, so I was an admin for Moonshot Hunters. Moonshot Hunters is the most active crypto Telegram group. I've been an admin in their like higher level private VIP group, but I was just made an admin on their main group, which has 40,000 plus users. So because of that, I've been able to, pin posts in there, forward all my posts in there. And that's going to be a major, major promotional tool that we'll be able to take advantage of for the launch of L2. So that's something really, really, positive that's taken place recently this week. On Monday, we're going to be having Manor Farm at the top ranking on DApp radar. So we have that date locked in. On Tuesday, they're going to be doing social media posts on their Twitter, which has 140,000 subs, on their Facebook, on their Instagram, and on all their social media. So that's going to expose us to hundreds of thousands of potential investors on the day of the raise. On Monday, on Monday, we're going to be at the top of their ranking, right? And their ads, they're set to go up immediately. It's just been, these people are based out of Asia. So I'm based out of Asia as well, but I'm on kind of a U.S. schedule right now. So when I wake up, they have messages to me. I respond to their messages. I go to sleep. I wake up. They've responded to my messages. So I've already paid them, and the ads are set to go up. It's just actually I just spoke with him before I jumped on this call, and they should be going up immediately, right? But we have the top ranking locked in for Monday. That's already a done thing. And on Tuesday, massive social media posts, right? I have an AMA with the largest venture capitalist group in crypto coming up next week, an AMA with their whale group, and then announcements made on their public announcement channel and in their public groups, which has thousands of members. I also have a few major interviews coming up with different YouTubers, different, high-end YouTubers that you all would recognize. And we have a ton more coming in the form of, marketing and promotion. But I would say our strongest tool as far as marketing and promotion is our community. We have the strongest and I would say the most positive community out of any other team in crypto. And I believe that's because Drip is truly the first true team crypto project. And there's no other crypto project that is truly a team crypto project. There are some other projects with referral bonuses, but when you look at them, the incentives are all wrong, right? They're, paying out bonuses when people cash out, and, they're, essentially people are getting bonuses to fund their team and all. Like, they're all messed up, right? Drip is the first true team crypto project. And because of this, we have a massive and extremely active and positive community, and we all need to work together to get the word out there, right? Talking Medium articles, YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Twitter support, plus Twitter, promotion. That being said, we have some large Twitter influencers that are ready to go as well. So L1, the way that I saw L1 was, this is our raised phase, which is essentially for the community to get in and, provide a platform for the community to be put in a position so when we do the migration, they'll be the new owners of L2. And L2 is where I see a major public push, where we now get to market the fact that we have all of these massive first mover advantage in the form of our mechanics, right? So L2 is when a lot of the major functionality comes in that, that makes it a lot easier for us to promote, right? Because we're able to promote all of these amazing functionality that aren't in any other crypto projects. So we are outpacing our expectation and our projections. People who have been listening the whole time heard me say that that I was thinking we would get around 50 million in the launch phase. We're at about 60 million right now with the market dumping. If the market hadn't dumped, the fact that the value of the tokens in there would be 25-30% higher. We'd have close to 100 million in there right now, and we still have another 5 days to go. And I believe the majority of the capital are going to enter in the last 48 hours. So I couldn't be more bullish with the way that everything is going and the pace that we're setting and everything that we have lined up. Now, let me just talk about Drip a little bit, and then we'll take a few questions. Drip just got, and Rev got put on CoinMarketCap today. So we had one of our insiders at CoinMarketCap do the application for us so it could go up right away. People know with Drip, it took us like months to get up there, right? We got up with Rev in days. But the person, our insider in there, accidentally, for whatever reason, used the Drip logo for Rev, which isn't a big deal because, it's promotion for Drip is promotion for Rev. Promotion for Rev is promotion for Drip. But we're going to get that adjusted. But either way, that went up today. So actually it went up late last night, actually. So it depending on your time frame. It was either went up today if you're in Asia. It went up last night if you're in the U.S. But anyways, go there, show it love, give it support, upvote it, share it, do everything with that. So Drip just got placed yesterday on a major Chinese listing site. It's essentially CoinMarketCap in China. So this is really going to help us get some exposure in this market. We also have several people working on better translations, both for the website and the white paper. So we're working right now on a major UI overhaul for Drip. One of the major one of the major things that we're doing for the new UI is better language translations. So you'll be able to click what language you want to see the front end in and read the white paper in, and that text will be written by native speakers. So we have Russian, Chinese, Korean, Spanish, um, uh, um, I'm trying to think of the Portuguese. So we have these translations done already. So we're right now in the process of reworking the UI. We want the UI to look a little more flashy, look a little more smooth, and really fit the strength of the underlying contracts, right? We all know Drip is one of, if not the most powerful store value systems in crypto. And we want the front end to match this. We want people, when they see the front end, to see value. So we're doing this UI adjustment not only for that, but also to get better language translations. And I feel like this is going to help us reach some of these markets that we haven't reached yet. And as you can see by the fact that we just got listed on this Chinese listing site yesterday, we're working on these translations. We have a Chinese group that we're starting to get more active in. You can see that we're really we're really putting an effort to break into these markets. We just had a raise for or I shouldn't say a raise, but essentially a charity event in South Korea where, oh no, sorry, not South Korea, the Philippines. We have one in South Korea that's in the works right now. The one that we
Cambodia, bro. Cambodia.
Sorry. Cambodia. Sorry.
Shout out to little Tita out there.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, we did a giveaway in Cambodia, right? And that was managed by Cryptida, who has an amazing drip team. We have one in the works with Gosu TV for South Korea that we're working on right now. And Cryptida also has something she's working on for Africa that we're going to make sure that the drip community is more active in, because she kind of did the Cambodia one a little bit behind the scenes, right? So, of course, once I found out about it, I gave the full support and got the word out there. But in the future, the one that we're working on in South Korea and the one that we have going on that we're giving attention to right now in Africa to build some wells out there is going to have the full support of the drip community and me as the developer. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it's going to help us get exposure in these markets for doing a great thing. So it's massively beneficial for everybody. And the reason why I got, I said the Philippines, the reason why I got confused with that is because one of our partners that we're working with has he runs a licensing and a management company that he manages the estate for Dick Gregory, which is he's a famous comedian that died in 2017. He handles the licensing for a ton of different artists, comedians, athletes, and specifically black athletes. This is where his main focus is, or black artists, athletes, celebrities, essentially. And he handles their licensing deals. And he's working on an NFT platform right now, which will be built on top of Drip. So when people buy these NFTs, they're buying it with BNB and BUSD. That BNB and BUSD then goes into buying Drip and staking it in the Drip faucet. Now, a percentage of that capital that is earned in the Drip faucet is now distributed to those NFT holders. So it not only is going to have major celebrity backing, it also has utility in the Drip network and creates additional demand and additional locking up of the Drip token. this is something that is right around the corner that we've put a lot of work into and we're extremely excited about. And right now, there's about a dozen high tier, A-list celebrities that already have their licensing deals worked out for these NFTs. So it's not just an NFT thing. It's a metaverse, and the whole suite of utility that you can get from NFTs. That's going to be built on top of the Drip network. The only reason why you haven't seen me making a ton of posts about this yet is because I want them to get a little bit more mature before I start heavily exposing the Drip community to them and to their platform. But I know the owner. I know the owner fairly well, and I know some of the devs involved. They're high quality devs. I know the owner. I know that he does have these licensing deals with all of these celebrities. I know that he's a major investor in Drip, and he's a major believer in Drip. So it's really just a matter of time. But timing is everything. So I'm waiting until they've gotten all their ducks in line to really make all of that public. But when it does become public, it's going to be one of the biggest things to hit Binance Smart Chain from a NFT celebrity perspective. And it's built on top of Drip, right? Which is amazing. So I also just got out of a meeting with someone who has a very unique NFT protocol that is based on AI. So he has an AI that is constantly trying to use artificial intelligence and machine learning to draw the Mona Lisa. So every time it's done, tens of thousands of different iterations, and every time it looks at the Mona Lisa, it looks at its last piece and tries to make a small improvement using its machine learning to get closer to this image. So it's a unique kind of twist. It has an element of rarity, and the thing is, he wants to also build that on top of Drip. So the NFTs will only be for sale with Drip. This Drip then gets staked in the faucet, and it has a type of reward system for staking these NFTs. We also have someone that actually the person who is developing this project that I'm about to mention owns the largest Canadian crypto mining company, right? So he's a major player in the game. He's also a major investor in Drip. He's building a meme token, which has a reflective reward system that uses a percentage of each transaction to buy Drip and distribute that Drip to holders. So every time that happens, there's a tax paid on Drip. There's more Drip being bought, more Drip being removed from market. It's an additional stream of demand for the Drip token, and a whole different marketing team, whole different development team, a whole different community. So it's another major exposure, major bullish event for Drip, right? I just got out of a meeting with him. He needed help on the developer end. I linked him up with a developer I worked in the past that's a very high quality dev. So that is in the process of being completed as well. We have a Bet Fury partnership, right? Bet Fury is developing a game that can only be played with Drip on their platform. This is huge, right? Bet Fury is one of, if not the largest, purely crypto casino in the space. So not only will they allow you to play their casino games with Drip, they'll be rewarding people in their Bet Fury token for playing the casino games with Drip. Not only that, they're developing a game specifically for Drip that you can only play with Drip that will be heavily marketed on their platform and in their community. So this is massive, right? And we're looking at mid to late February for this, right? So keep this. Of course, I'm saying it publicly, and the only reason I'm saying it publicly is because I've already said it publicly. But they haven't made an announcement yet in their community. So so wait for us to make a major co-announcement before you go in there celebrating and all this stuff, because they asked me, they asked me after the fact, right? We set the deal, we set the partnership deal. I made it public because I'm transparent like that. Like once we have a deal locked in, I'll make it public. After I made it public, everybody went in there celebrating, and they were like, "Oh, we're not ready for to announce to our community yet, so please hold off on that." And I told them I'll hold off on it, but because I understand where they're coming from. It's better to do a major co-announcement, get marketing behind it, all that. So so that's where we are with that, right? We're looking at mid to late February with that, and that's going to be huge, huge, huge. That's going to be one of the bigger partnerships, if not the biggest partnership we've had. Now, on top of this, we have a partnership with what I believe to be the most innovative NFT protocol in the space right now. They operate on the ERC20 network. They're getting close to passing OpenSea as far as their volume. They're way, way past OpenSea when it comes to utility and all the cool things that they offer on their platform. And we've already agreed on a partnership. We're working on the details now and the timing and everything like that. It will likely be late February, early March. But we're going to release the first truly cross-chain NFT protocol that has utility on the two largest smart contract chains on two high-end DeFi platforms, both on their platform and on our platform in Drip. So the way that this will work is we'll have a raise where essentially a minting event where these NFTs all get minted. Everybody will vote, will essentially buy to or send funds in to mint a blank NFT. They won't know which NFT they got, right? They won't know the commonality or the rarity of the NFT they got. Now, a few days later, we'll have a display event where everybody gets their NFTs displayed and they realize which NFTs they got, whether they got a common or a more rare. Now, what determines whether you get a common or a rare NFT is an element of luck and how net positive you are in the faucet. So we wanted to ensure that it wasn't just how much capital you have in the faucet, because we don't want to make it a whale's game, right? We want it to be how net positive you are. So what this does is it allows for people that have been positive and helped grow the platform to have a greater chance of getting a more rare NFT. So those people, say you got into Drip with $1,000, you've been compounding for the past few months, now you got $10,000, $15,000 in there, you're net positive $15,000. You're going to have a better shot at getting a rare token than someone that got in with $50,000 but has not been compounding and has just been claiming and is only net positive, $5,000, $10,000 or $5,000, $10,000 Drip, however you want to measure it. So this allows people that have been positive and helped grow the system to be at advantage over someone that's just a whale but has been draining the system. On top of this, we added an element of luck. So the way that will work is, depending on how net positive you are, you'll be able to get a specific range of rarity. So if you're a very highly net positive in the faucet, you'll get a chance to get, let's just say, to throw numbers out there, a 1 of 50, a 50 of 150, or a 150 of 500. Say you're, only net positive $100. Then you have a range of getting maybe a 1 of 5,000, or 1 of 3,000, or a 1 of 1,000. See what I'm saying? So there's an element of luck there, which creates a type of lottery game theory out of it and allows for more demand on a secondary market and really creates a more volatile market there and more opportunity for profits. But there's still a benefit to growing the drip network. Now, when you get these NFTs, they are minted both on the ERC20 network and the BSC network. And both of those contracts called the same NFT on that server. Now, this NFT on the BSC network through the BSC contract can be staked on the drip network to get a shared ownership of the drip network. And this allows you to get a share of all of the drip that's being sent to the deployer address when people use it as their referrer. Now, currently, all the drip that gets sent to that deployer address is being sent to the tax pool. In the next few weeks, we're going to open up team competitions so the team competitions will come with the UI upgrade, because along with the UI upgrade, we're adding in the ability to set your team name. So instead of having a wallet, instead of sharing your referral link with a string of numbers and letters, your ERC20 address, you'll be able to share a link with your team name. And then you can compete in these team competitions to get a share of the drip that goes to the dev wallet, or the deployer wallet, I should say. Now, a percentage will go to those team competitions, and a percentage will go to the people who have these NFTs staked on the platform, essentially giving you a share ownership of the drip network. On top of this, the contract that mints on the ERC20 network can be staked in our partner's metaverse platform, where you can then mint their tokens. You can participate on the games that they have in their metaverse, and you can use your plot for marketing, to promote your drip team, to promote your own side projects, and you get a shared ownership of that metaverse. So all of the tokens that are minted associated with that platform, you get a share of them. So essentially, this NFT will be the first cross-chain NFT protocol that give you a shared ownership of two major high-end platforms on the two largest smart contract chains in the world. So we're looking at March with this, but next week, right? Late next week, we're looking at Thursday probably, I'm going to release a full roadmap for Drip, a 2022 roadmap for Drip, detailed with dates, with events, and we're going to have at least one or two major events every single month for the year of 2022 for Drip. And they'll all be laid out in this roadmap that will be launching next week. So this is huge, right? This is major for Drip. And there's so much going on with Drip that I could sit here for the next hour listing all of them. But the more I list, the more attention I take away from the ones I've already named, and they're huge. Every single thing I just announced is something that will bring in, tens of millions of dollars into Drip. So at the, so as to not dilute the impact of anything that I've already listed, I'm not going to keep going on. But on Thursday next week, I'm going to release a 2022 roadmap for Drip, the Drip protocol. And you guys will be shocked and, extremely excited and just awed at all the things that we have lined up for Drip. And I'm going to be in meetings, every day until Thursday, locking in, securing dates, getting all the details worked out so I can make this roadmap announcement. So I should probably answer some questions now. I'm gonna give, let's say, 24 minutes to answering questions, right? because I have some meetings that I have planned today, but I want to be able to get to some questions from the community. So I'm going to start right at the top.
Forex, some of these guys, they're muted in the chat too. Like most of the people in the chat are muted. I unmuted like who I recognize, but I don't know. Like some people may not be able to ask because they're muted.
Well, people that are muted by default can put their hands up. People that are muted like manually, that most likely means one of the admins muted them in the past, and I don't know why they muted them. I don't know what the deal is with it, but I'm not going to arbitrate that now during like an AMA. So we'll go with people that have their hands up and were not muted by admins in the past for whatever reason, And if you were muted at one point by admins, feel free to reach out to one of them. They'll reach out to me. We'll look into it. We'll most likely unmute you. We do it on an individual basis. I have no idea why. A lot of times people get muted because they come in and start talking about other projects or whatever the case is. But we handle on an individual basis. We don't like to mute people. So I can see that someone here that's like a big supporter of Drip is muted. So I've honestly I basically never mute anybody. So I don't really know why some people might be muted or not, but
I think it's like new members of the chat. They come in and they're automatically muted in the the voice chat.
Oh, okay. Well, we got a ton of people with their hands up, so I'm going to just start at the top and start answering these people that have their hands up already. All right, Wildman, you're up.
Hey, Wildman Crypto here. Thanks, Forex. Great AMA. I just wanted to focus on your comment that you made that 60% of the Rev liquidity is going to be moved to the Pig safe house. I think that's huge. And would you say that like 15 million at this point, based on the current value, would be moved to the Pig safe house, or is there some other calculation?
No, yeah, it's about 15 million. That's why I said tens of millions of dollars already. And we still have 5 more days to go. And I expect the vast majority of capital to come in the last couple of days. We already have $50 million ready to be paid out to the pig stakers. So this is why I'm saying very few people are doing it, but some people did, of course. You're always going to have it. People that are selling Rev right now in the launch phase, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're taking yourself out of the pool, which is about to get paid $15 million plus, and you're giving up your share of the platform to do it. So you're selling to get this small short-term gain, taking yourself out of an opportunity to not only own the most advanced, what will be the greatest performing yield farm lending protocol in the world, taking yourself out of the owner seat there, but you're also being extremely short-sighted because that BUSD that you just sold your Rev for, you would have got that plus a ton more if you had just got into the Rev pre-sale with those Rev tokens, staked in the pig pen, and been part of the pool that gets paid out $15 million plus. Now that $15 million plus, that's just in what's getting migrated over from L2 at this current point, right? There's going to be a ton more, because I expect a lot more to come in towards the end. Plus, it's going to be 4 to 6% of all the platform fees. It's going to be a share of all of the dog tokens that are swapped, which, we all know when something launches, you have that massive wave of TVL that comes in. So it's going to be like 4 to 6% of $50, $100 million on that initial wave of TVL, plus however many, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever $1 million, 3% of that, plus the 15 plus million that's going to be migrated over from L1. All of that's going to be paid out in the pig's governance pool. So yeah, that's you're looking at the right value there. It's already over $50 million. That's going to be paid out to the pig governance pool for the people that get into that that L2 presale. That's not including the dev fees that or the deposit fees, I should say, for L2, which will get paid to them as well, and all of the taxes on the dog token, which will be paid to them. And you reminded me because I spoke to the importance of the pig token. I haven't spoken too much to the importance of the dog token and drip for L2. Now, the dog token is the only token that is a core asset on the platform that you can farm the pig tokens with. And it's the only individual asset, meaning the only pool, the dog token pool as an individual asset that allows you to farm the pig token. So it adds a major demand and a major utility for the dog token as the main vehicle on the platform to act as your doorway into ownership of the platform. So the dog token is the only token that you can farm the pig tokens as a single asset. It's also the farms for the dog token, farm BUSD and farm BNB. Dog BNB and dog BUSD has the highest multiplier and no deposit fee, and it's the only farm that allows you to farm the pig token. Plus, there's no deposit fee. Plus, it has the highest multiplier on the whole platform. So, so the dog token, you can't sleep on that because that's how you're going to accumulate your pig tokens. So, so yeah, just to wrap it back around, you're right. It's like over $50 million right now. That's going to get paid out like already to the pig stakers that get into the pre-sale.
That's amazing. And great game theory, by the way, on that dog pig token interaction. I mean, there's no reason for anyone to sell either token, which means the play right now. And I know you've said it over and over. I'm just emphasizing for anyone tuning in now, buy Rev token and hold. That's the only move right now. Yeah.
And then accumulate it through farming, as much as you can as well, of course. So the, $15 million, like you just said, will get paid to the pig stakers, right? A way to get the pig token at the best possible rate and the highest allocation is through getting into the pre-sale with Rev. So right now, you could sell your Rev token, say you have $100 worth of Rev, you could sell your Rev token right now for BUSD and get $100 worth of BUSD, or you could swap it in the L2 pre-sale for dog and pig tokens. You get $120 worth for your $100, and now you're farming with the dog to earn the pig tokens to earn a greater share, and you have the pig tokens ready to stake. So now that $100 that you would have made for selling the Rev token, now you're going to make exponentially more than that, paid out to you in BUSD without ever needing to give up your share ownership, right? So, I mean, it's really a
It's win-win.
It takes very little thought to understand this, how to take advantage of this game theory, which is important. You need to make it simple. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it couldn't be more obvious what the play is here. And I see that most people are getting it, right? So let me find someone else with their hands up.
Forex, if they need to be unmuted, they can leave the voice and rejoin. They will be unmuted.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Zion Energy. You gotta unmute yourself.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Thanks, Forex. Love what you're doing. Love the community. So question, during the 48-hour pause period, you mentioned that whatever the price of the Rev is going to be at, it's going to freeze at that point in time, and that's when it's going to get rolled over, and that's when the 20% will be applied. What will happen because Rev is going to be available on Pancake? What happens to that arbitrage? Because I have to imagine that people are going to be buying Rev however they can, right? So I have to imagine there's going to be some spread or there's going to be some movement in the price. How is that going to be affected in regards to determining what the price is going to be in the allocation for pigs?
We're going to use one transaction to both remove liquidity and swap all of the Rev tokens that we've accumulated through the buybacks to remove that BUSD. So I expect the vast majority of people, once we hit that countdown and the 48-hour period starts and the farm is no longer emitting Rev tokens as a reward for being a liquidity provider, the majority of people will then remove their liquidity and swap the other side of that pool, the BUSD or BNB, for Rev token, right? So, because at that point there's little incentive to be a liquidity provider, and all the incentive is on the side of being a Rev holder. So then, this should result in the vast majority of the liquidity pool being owned by the deployer, right? And then we can remove that liquidity, and any leftover BUSD in the liquidity pool, we can swap out with the Rev that we've accumulated through the buybacks. So we should be able to remove in one quick sweep all of the BUSD and BNB liquidity as well. So essentially, in one quick swipe, we should be able to remove the vast majority of all the liquidity from the Rev token. So at that point, there might be whatever, like $5,000 or $10,000 worth of liquidity in there, and people can do whatever they want with it. I mean, that's, but there's really no incentive to being a liquidity provider in that last 48 hours. So, so I believe that will handle itself from a just from a technical perspective, because we remove all the incentive to be a liquidity provider. People will remove liquidity, use that BNB or BUSD side to buy the Rev token because the incentive goes from being a liquidity provider to a Rev holder. So they do that. That leaves the vast majority of the liquidity pool, if not all of it, under the ownership of the deployer wallet. And then we can remove that liquidity by just, unpairing Rev. And then if there's a little bit of BUSD, BNB left in the pool, we can remove it with the Rev that we've accumulated through the buybacks. So that should handle that quite nicely. And we don't so for all practical purposes, we can lock in that value that we removed all of the liquidity from. And if there's a few $1,000s worth of liquidity still on the contract, it's negligible. It's not going to change anything. And since all of the utility for Rev at that point becomes using it for the pre-sale, I don't see any reason why anybody would want to be in there as a liquidity provider. They're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. They could remove that liquidity, buy the rest of the Rev, with that BUSD or BNB that they're providing liquidity with, and get into the pre-sale with it. So so that's the deal, right? So we don't need to set a price, say, all right, this is the price, and we remove liquidity. We can do it all in one transaction, and that price that we remove the liquidity and we do that transaction at will be the price that it's set at. So it's trustless as well. Everybody can go on BSC scan, see at what price we remove the liquidity, and know the value that they'll get for the Rev token.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Hey,
All right.
Forex, what's your view on the Garden as of right now?
I see the Garden's operating very well. I'm not super hyper focused on it because I'm, working on all this development, getting the L2 website up and all of that. But the Garden is working amazing right now. I see that capital is continuously coming into it. It's paying out very well. And I see that we've removed over $500,000 worth of drip from circulation because there's a small fee on depositing drip on Manor Farm, and there's a small fee on depositing drip into the garden, and all of that drip gets sent to the faucet tax pool. So we've removed over $600,000 worth of drip and sent it all to the tax pool. So the garden is doing its job very well. It's remaining extremely sustainable. I noticed that people are using the BUSD that they get from the safe house, putting into the drip liberation contract and getting into the garden with it. So, the garden is designed to be a self-sustaining, self-functioning. We're going to migrate the front end over to L2 so people will be able to access the garden from L2. And, the garden's immutable. So there's no changes that we can make to it. There's no changes that we're going to make to it. So at any point, the demand starts to wane for it. The price, the buying power of new capital coming in is steadily increasing through our time multiplier. So say for whatever reason, the demand starts to wane and it goes a couple weeks. What happens is the price of plants starts to reduce and the buying power of new capital starts to increase. So it becomes attractive for new capital to come in again, and you get a second wave of capital and a second life breathed into it. So it's designed to be sustaining, and that's what it's doing. So, it's, of course, when we launch L2, we're going to promote the garden as part of L2, and it's doing its job. It's doing its job awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I saw a Daily Guru. You had your hand up, and then you don't have your hand up anymore. But if you want me to call on you, you can put your hand up. All right. Well, you don't have it up right now, but I'll look for you again because obviously I know who you are. So, everything's moving fast. So, all right, Tamara, I'm gonna
Yeah.
All right, Tamara, I just clicked on you.
Hey, yeah, Forex. Hi. Thanks for all this explanation. So for me, it's always like, of course, a rocket science. But one thing I want to clarify for myself. So you said that within the 48 hours, those who have locked now, like for example, I have the LP, which is the BUSD with ref, and that is locked. So in 48 hours, what will happen is that you said you will unlock it, and then whatever BUSD you have left from this LP, with that you can buy additional ref. But at the same time, you said that it's gonna be it's not gonna be emitted anymore. So where am I gonna buy this additional ref for this remaining BUSD? That is my question.
All right. Well, it's not locked really. It's in the farm. Like your Rev BUSD is in the farm, but it's not locked. You can withdraw it at any point, right? We don't have any kind of locking function that's locking your capital into the farms or into the pools. So at the end of the 48 hours, the Rev is no longer emitting an APY. So the incentive for being a liquidity provider is not there anymore. Now, the full utility and the full use case for the Rev token is a pre-sale token for L2. You can remove that liquidity, right? It's as simple as removing your LP tokens from the farm, unpairing your Rev and your BUSD on PancakeSwap, and then using that BUSD or BNB to buy Rev on PancakeSwap. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have those Rev tokens, right? So right now there's two primary use cases for the Rev token. It's a farm reward token and a type of launchpad pre-sale token. So right now there's a lot of incentive to be a liquidity provider for it because you're getting those liquidity provider fees paid to you, plus you're getting more Rev paid to you as a farmer. When the 48-hour ends, you're now you're still getting your liquidity provider fees, but you're not getting an APY through the farm. So now the incentive shifts, and that use case shifts from being a farm reward token and launchpad token to just a launchpad token pre-sale token. And now you can unpair and you can do whatever you choose to do. Of course, I know the majority of people are going to want to have a larger allocation in Rev so they can get into that L2 presale with the highest possible allocation at the best possible price. So they will take that LP token, remove liquidity, use the BNB or the BUSD side of it, and buy more Rev with it. This is this is what the 48-hour countdown is for. It's to give everybody some advance notice to now remove liquidity and to buy Rev if you want to buy Rev, because at that point that's the only place to get it. And for people that have not been part of L1 that have been promoted L2, now it's their chance to buy Rev as well, because they can't get it through farming anymore. Now they can buy it off the market. So I expect to see a massive price appreciation in that last 48 hours as people stock up on their Rev, remove liquidity, and buy. And when you remove liquidity and then buy, your that increases the impact that buy pressure has. So you're essentially taking that liquidity that is split between both pairs and adding it just to the buy side. So it's going to cause like a massive spike in price appreciation. And then that all of that value that is added to the price of Rev is then removed and migrated over to L2, where it's paid out both in the pig pen, 60% of it, and the other 40% goes directly towards price appreciating the dog and pig token through buybacks, right? And all of this capital is paid out over the first about 50 days of L2. So it's tens of millions of dollars just on that migration. And then also we're going to have that massive wave of TVL at the launch of L2 and all of the taxes associated that go towards
amazing.
Yeah. So there's going to be a ton of capital paid out to those who get into the L2 presale and farm and stake with those tokens.
Yeah, only now I realize the power of having this Rev token,
Yeah, well, I'm glad you do. So that's what this is about. This is about trying to make everybody aware, because I want everybody to have as fair as a shot as possible. I don't want anybody to say, well, they didn't know, right? That's so I'm trying to be out here answering as many questions as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
What will determine the pre-launch price, and how long will the pre-launch last?
So the pre-launch price, it's going to be a set price. So if I did the math right now, I could determine the price off the top of my head. I don't know what it is, but it's essentially well, I could tell you what the pre-launch and launch price would be right now based on how much capital we're migrating over. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the capital that was migrated over from L1 to L2, and we're going to raise a portion of this in BUSD. And this BUSD that we raise is going to be what we use for the initial liquidity. So without knowing how much capital we're migrating over, it's impossible to know what the starting price of the dog and pig tokens will be. I could tell you what it would be based on the current amount that's being migrated over, but I would have to do the math, and it's I don't know off the top of my head because the value is always changing, and it's not something that I'm constantly doing the calculations for. But what's really most relevant isn't the price of the token. It's in a vacuum. It's the price of the token relative to the pre-sale price, right? So the listing price relative to the pre-sale price, and the listing price will be 20% higher than the price relative to what you would get if you got in with Rev, and 10% higher relative to what you would get if you got in with BUSD. So I can tell you that, it's going to be that percentage higher over pre-sale because that value is independent on how much capital we migrate over. The exact like dollar figure of the price, I can't tell you until we know how much capital is being migrated over. But it's really kind of irrelevant, right? If whether it's $100, $1,000, that's what decimals are for. You know, it's like kind of irrelevant. What it's, you know, in a vacuum. What matters is what's the listing price relative to what you'll get in pre-sale, and those values are known.
And has the pre-launch length of time been determined?
What do you mean by that?
Like how long will the pre-launch last before the token is actually launched for the general public?
Do you mean pre-sale?
Yeah, pre-sale.
Well, every raise I've ever done sells out instantly. So, you know, the pre-sale will likely be over in seconds. So, so on Tuesday, we start a 48-hour countdown. And on Thursday, we'll do the launch of L2. So, but so on Thursday is when we'll do the pre-sale raise and the launch. We're going to handle it on the same day, and you know, likely it's going to the pre-sale will sell instantly. Every pre-sale I've ever done has sold out in seconds, and there's no reason why this would be any different. I mean, this is the most bullish pre-sale I've done to date. So, and
but you'll have to physically take your Rev and buy dog and pig tokens, or will that just, since Rev has gone away, will that just automatically go into pig and dog tokens?
the way it will work is we'll have a front end that allows you to swap your Rev for P dog and P pig tokens. It's not one or the other. When you swap your Rev token, you will get both a P dog and a P pig token. It will be sent to your wallet, and this will be open for a period of time. So it's not going to be open indefinitely, but you know, it's so the raise in USD that will take seconds because we have a hard cap. It will hit the hard cap. That will be over. We'll have some period that allows people to swap their Rev for P-Rev, and it doesn't have to be an extremely limited amount of time. So, and it's not really super important on how long it lasts because there's no hard cap there. So I haven't set a specific amount of time, but like all of our pre-sale raises, they all last seconds, right? I haven't had one that lasted more than 2 minutes. So expect the raise and launch to all happen same day.
Okay. I just don't know exactly when it'll be in that 48-hour window when I'll have the opportunity to take my Rev and transfer it to L2. If it doesn't
At the end of the 48 hours.
Okay.
When the 48-hour countdown hits 0, liquidity will be removed and we'll open up the pre-sale.
Got it. So it'll be a countdown.
Yeah, a 48-hour countdown. Everybody will get plenty of advance notice. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
The 48-hour countdown starts as soon as the farm stops emitting tokens, which is on Tuesday.
Forex, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, you can ask me a question, but then I'm going to go to people with their hands up because people have been waiting with their hands up, and now people are just unmuting and asking questions. But yeah, I'll answer your question, and then I'm going to continue with people that have their hands up.
I would have done that, but I don't have any way of raising my hand. That option went away.
Mine too.
I'm not sure why that went away. All right. Anyway, let me just see if anybody has their hands up.
Hey, Forex, let me ask you a quick question if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to let these other people that just asked, just one person at a time. So, Jay, you asked first. So, Jay, you can go first.
Forex, thank you so much. Making history. Very quick question. Forex, at the beginning of the 48 hours, basically when emission stops, just to clarify, that means that the only way to get Rev would be to buy it out of Pancake Swap, right?
True.
So the only way we're going to be able to buy Rev in that 48 hours, I would imagine, Forex, that that ref price is going to be going a bit up, since there's no more emissions. Rev is just going to continue going up.
Exactly.
Will you?
Yeah.
So I think a question that a number of my friends have in the chat is the rev price at the end of the 48 hours. I don't know. Let's say it's whatever it is, 300. You're going to honor that price? That's a big question. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to honor it, but it's very easy to honor it because all of that capital is being removed and migrated over. So, it's being honored because that capital isn't going anywhere. That price that the token is, the thing that's giving that token that price is the BUSD and the BNB in that liquidity pool, and all that BUSD and all that BNB in that liquidity pool is being migrated over. So absolutely, that's the price where that liquidity is removed and removed both through unpairing and through swapping of the rev tokens that we've accumulated through the buybacks, is the price that will be honored in the pre-sale, of course.
Thank you, Forex. And
yeah.
Also, basically, owning a piece of the farm is passive income for life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no other project that has even so we have about 4 mechanics that no other project has. Every single one of them is extremely powerful, and every single one of them addresses the supply and demand side of the calculation to allow for price appreciation, to allow people to earn essentially a dividend on their ownership of the platform, to cause price appreciation, and for us to be able to outperform any other platform out there. And on top of this, we're doing this lending on the back end to earn an additional 30-40% APY to make sure it's sustainable into the future, as far as there doesn't need to be any kind of centralized leadership. I could get hit by a car tomorrow. Those gas fees, those buybacks, all that will still be maintained through the contracts themselves, and that gas will be paid through the transactions that through the back end lending, essentially. Now, also, I'll just say this one more time because I brought it up, but it was the first time I said this anywhere. It's not even in the white paper yet. We made an adjustment to the tax protocol of the dog token. So previously, and how it's listed in the white paper is the dog token has 3 associated taxes: a 3% tax when you do a swap, and this is the BUSD that it's swapped for, or whatever token you swap it for, is turned into BUSD and sent to the pig stakers, the people in the pigs governance pool. So this is a consistent cash flow of BUSD that goes to them. There's another 3% that goes to the liquidity pool, and it creates locked liquidity. Now, the previous protocol and how it's listed in the white paper is that half that the 3% of dog token that is transacted will be sold for BUSD paired with the dog token, and that will create locked permanent liquidity. And of course, that dog is being sold, that capital isn't being removed from the value of the token. It's just being added to a liquidity pool. We made an adjustment, and this is another major innovation that we made that no other farmer is doing, where instead of that additional BUSD that is being used to add liquidity to dogs coming from the selling of dog tokens on transaction, it's coming from the deposit fee. So when someone does a deposit, a small percentage of that BUSD goes into the contract, and now every time someone transacts dogs, 3% of that transaction then gets paired with the BUSD that was sent to the contract from the deposit fees, and this causes price appreciation. It's a form of buyback while adding locked decentralized liquidity and a higher, so it raises the price floor, while raising the price, while creating further locked decentralized liquidity. There's no other project that's doing this, and this is a major adjustment and innovation that we made over the past few days, right? So, it's just it gets better and better. And I get so excited about these things because I just know how powerful it's going to be. So the next person that was asking, I don't know who it was, but feel free to ask. Also, yeah, okay.
Sorry, I'm kind of just getting in here. I know I'm kind of late. This may have been something that you all have already touched up on and stuff, but from migrating from L1 into L2, I know that pretty much your rev is split 50-50 in the pigs and dogs, but the value at which we leave our rev when trading stops, are we essentially going to be holding the same? Well, we'll be holding more value because of the 20%, but is pigs and dogs going to essentially start around the same price floor?
No, because there's different supplies. There's a different supply of dog and pig tokens. So
okay.
So you're not going to get the same amount of dog and pigs as far as a token amount, but you're going to get the same USD value of each one.
Okay. Yeah. That's, I guess, essentially what I'm getting at. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Hey, Daily Guru, I know you had your hand up, and I don't know if it went down because for whatever reason the hand function just stopped working. I don't know. I don't know if an admin changed something while we were going or Telegram is just weird, but feel free to butt in whenever.
Hi, Forex. I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Okay, cool.
The DRIP BUSD LP tokens we have staked in the farm now, the L1 farm. How are they migrated across?
So they're not. This is what I was saying. There's no incentive to be a liquidity provider in the last 48 hours of Rev. So the incentive goes from being the incentive/utility goes from being a launchpad token for L2 / farm reward token. At the end of the 48 hours, that farm reward token utility is dropped because it's no longer emitting rewards as a farm reward token. And this is when you'll want to remove your liquidity token from the farm, unpair the token, and either unpair the token and have your BUSD and Rev, or what I know a lot of people are going to do is unpair the token, use that BNB or use that BUSD that they had paired with the Rev to buy Rev to get a larger share of it.
I'm referring to the DRIP BUSD LP token, not the Rev BUSD, the DRIP BUSD. Because I believe it mentions on the white paper that allows you to get the pig tokens on L2.
It does, yeah. This is a major new utility and use case for pigs. For DRIP is to be able to earn the pig tokens. It's the only non-core token on L2 that allows you to earn pigs. It has a high multiplier for pigs, but we don't have the ability to migrate anybody's LP tokens over. So if you look at the Paladin audit, or if you know how to read code, you can read code. The only functionality or the only ability that we have to move people's LP tokens is over to the PancakeSwap lending protocol, where it then earns the additional 30-40% APY. And then when people withdraw from the platform, it automatically withdraws from PancakeSwap, migrates it over to our MasterChef contract, where they withdraw from there. So we don't have the ability to migrate anybody's LP over or anybody's tokens over. So everybody will have to migrate their capital over from themselves. And this is another reason why this is important, but also extremely bullish for Rev holders, is because this means we're going to have another huge wave of TVL coming in to L2, and they're going to be paying the deposit fees, and all of those deposit fees go to the people that are the owners in the pigs protocol. So that means it's going to be 4 to 6% of 50 million, 100 million, 500 million, whatever the end value is, that's going to be paid to the people in the pig pen. That and the way you get into the pig pen immediately at launch is by being in the pre-sale, right? So you're going to have to handle migrating liquidity over yourself. We don't force anybody's liquidity over. We don't have the ability to do that. We wouldn't want to do that. So it's up to every individual to decide how much they want to migrate over, if they want to add more, if they want to migrate a portion, if they want to migrate. It's on everybody to decide, at their own, for their own strategy, right? Basically.
Forex. Let me show people something real quick on the screen share. So guys, when we're migrating into L2, at the end of L1, you'll be able to take out your LP here, but you don't necessarily need to break up your tokens. What you can do is just hold it in your wallet. So what I suggest you guys do is add the token contract of the LP to your wallet so it doesn't get lost in the sauce. And then you'll be able to do that by going to the details section and then go to view contract. And then you can save this contract address here, which is the LP address for your DRIP and BUSD liquidity pool pair. And you can save it in your MetaMask wallet by going to import tokens. So you could just hold it down, wait for L2, and then you'll be able to restake your LP tokens in L2. Import tokens, enter the contract address right here, add custom token, and then you can just have your LP tokens there.
Hey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
So you don't need to unpair your token. The one token that you will want to unpair is your rev, because at that point, there's no real utility to be a liquidity provider for rev in that last 48 hours. And all of the utility is in holding the rev itself. So I would say all of your liquidity pairs, remove them from the farm in those 24 hours, but don't unpair them. Just keep them ready for L2, except for your rev. Your rev, you're going to want to remove that liquidity, and you're most likely going to want to use the additional capital on the other side of that pool to buy rev. So you're fully in rev instead of being split across half rev, half BUSD, or half BNB. But yeah,
Sorry, please.
You're breaking up.
Sorry, please. Can you repeat what you just said now about pairing and unpairing?
Yeah. So I said that when you get out of L2, when you want to migrate your liquidity tokens to L2, you don't need to unpair all of your LP tokens, such as like your BUSD, Tether, your BNB, BUSD, all of these non-core LP tokens. You don't want to unpair those, right? Because that's just going to be additional transactions, additional gas that you're paying for no reason. You can just remove those LP tokens from the farm and then deposit them in L2. The one token that you will want to remove liquidity from is the Rev token. And that's because at the end of 48 hours, at the end of the farm, when we start the 48-hour countdown, there'll be no more rewards emitted for liquidity providers for Rev. So at that point, there's no incentive to being a liquidity provider for Rev, and all of the incentive is being a Rev holder. So that's when you're going to want to remove your Rev from the farm. You're going to want to unpair it. You're going to want to use the BNB or BUSD that you had paired with it to buy the Rev. So instead of that capital being in the Rev liquidity pool, now it's fully into the Rev token, and now you can use that in the L2 presale. So that's all I was getting at there.
Forex, if I may ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
My question is, as far as the dog and pig tokens go, as you guys say, like the pigs are what you call the governance token, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
That token, is it something like, for example, myself, I do not have large amounts of capital that I can put in at the moment. But is it something that if I don't get in on early, I will not be able to get in on, or I will eventually earn?
No, so if you get in on the pre-sale with Rev, you will get it at the best possible price with the largest possible allocation. After the launch of L2, you'll be able to get pig tokens two ways, either by buying it directly off of PancakeSwap or by farming it.
Is there a market limit circulating supply?
Yeah, well, both of these tokens have a relatively low circulating supply, which is going to cause price appreciation. But, of course, you want price appreciation as an investor. So you will be able to buy both dog and pig tokens off of PancakeSwap. The only way that you'll be able to farm pigs is by the dog single asset pool, dog BUSD, dog BNB, or drip BUSD. So the highest multiplier, the farm that pays out the largest amount of pigs, is dog BUSD. That's followed by dog BNB, and then drip BUSD, and then the single asset dog pool. That's how it goes as far as which pools and farms are going to pay out the most. And then that's the only way you can get pig tokens is by farming it in those core pools or buying it directly off the market.
So there will not be a point where those farms stop emitting pig tokens?
No. So the way it works is it's similar to drip in the sense that the way that the total supply is managed is through the protocol. So it's not a hard set cap on the supply, but the protocol ensures that it never goes over a specific amount and essentially is a deflationary asset. So like if you notice with drip, it started off with 1 million drip in circulation. Now we have something like 150,000 drip in circulation and only 40,000 in the liquidity pool. But there's no cap on drip. It's just that the protocol is designed for drip to be deflationary. And that's the same mechanism that allows us to have a controlled supply of the dog and pig tokens. Specifically using our supply control algorithm, which looks at the current demand for the token and adjusts the emission rate efficiency based on this demand. And then when you pair this supply control algorithm with the deflationary tax protocol, it allows the system to become deflationary when it needs to allow for price appreciation. So this is the way that the total supply is controlled. As far as will it always be available to earn? Yes. And the reason for this is because L2 is designed to be a sustainable model for years into the future. We don't want to have any baked in termination point where it no longer becomes a functional platform because it's not giving out rewards anymore. So we allowed the system to not have any termination point by not baking in some sort of terminal endpoint by creating a capped supply, but we're addressing the supply side of things through our deflationary model and supply control algorithm. So I hope that answers your question. It's a little long-winded, but
Yeah, that does. Thanks a lot.
Forex, can I please ask quickly about the drip utility again in layer 2, specifically about the APR to that liquidity pair? I know that in the current farm, that drip BUSD pool does have slightly less of a multiplier on it compared to the Rev BUSD pool and the Rev BNB pool. And one thing that at least we speculate might be happening because of that is people are selling drip to buy into the higher paying pools, to buy Rev with their drip to pay into the higher paying pool. So while there is obviously utility in that drip token there, it does seem that there is, just by nature of the multipliers, some incentive just to sell the drip and put it directly into the higher paying pools. Can you speak to what those relative percentages might be on L2 and how you expect the utility of drip to hold up in those pools compared to the other pools?
Yeah, so I don't see much evidence that people are selling drip for Rev. Obviously, at the initial launch, right? People look at it at any launch like an opportunity for a quick come up, and people have made a lot of money in drip, so they see an opportunity to take some profit that they made in drip and make a quick 20x or 50x on it. And but what we've seen is they've then taken that profit, and a lot of it has gone back into drip. And if you look at the price of drip, we're up from like 50 something dollars at the launch back up to 70 something dollars, while the whole market is down 25+%. So we see a lot of that capital that's being earned in the farm being circulated back into drip. And this isn't about creating some sort of short-term pump of drip, right? This is about creating a long-term use case for drip that creates a sustainable incentive for people getting in with drip. So you're always going to see some kind of shakeup in the existing protocols when some new when some new opportunity is, you know, exposed to a community that is invested in all of the protocols. But as we see, like with drip and you know, what's been happening over the course of the past few days is this capital is now starting to circle back into drip. And they have such different dynamics, you know, the drip faucet and the reservoir and the drip network and the Manor farm and the animal farm, that I see them appealing to two separate investor bases outside of our community. So of course, they're both going to appeal to people that are inside of the community. And this is going to cause some shakeup initially at launch, like we saw. But then it also attracts a ton of new capital from outside of the community that were not part of drip, that now come in and they get exposed to drip and they start putting capital into drip. And at any point, the way that these APYs work is not any kind of like set APY. There's a set multiplier, but not a set APY. So at any point, people start selling drip to buy dog or pig or to buy rev, and they're not getting into that drip pool. What that's going to do is increase the APY for the drip pool, now making drip more attractive. So yeah, as expected, we'll see a shakeup in the price of all tokens in an associated community when there's a launch of some new opportunity. But in the long run, you see that it all ships get lifted, right? And you can look at BREAP, you can look at REAP, you can look at any of the other protocols I've launched. When something new launches, there's a shakeup, but then very shortly after that, you know, a week or two down the line, you see that these other projects that are tied into the new one are now making all-time highs, and they have more capital than they've ever had invested in them. So this is what I would expect, and you know, I don't think it's making any kind of reach to expect it. I think it's like a very obvious projection that we'll see is in the long run, more incentive for drip, more capital coming into drip, more drip being removed from circulation. And as far as APYs go, that's something that is self-adjusting. So if you look at both the garden and the animal farm, we had something like $7 million worth of liquidity in drip before the launch of that. We now have like $17 million worth of liquidity just on PancakeSwap. We have another like 12 million or something on our native DEX. So we went from having $7 million of liquidity to something like, you know, $35-40 million worth of liquidity through the implementation of these new use cases and new utility and new incentives to buy and remove drip from circulation. So seeing a price shakeup on launch, not surprising. Seeing the price start to appreciate basically immediately after the launch and continue to make gains, also not surprising. And this is exactly what I expect to see into the future. I mean, if you look at our BUSD pair on PancakeSwap, we've done nothing but appreciate in value from like 24 hours after the launch of the farm. The native DEX, we also went from like $59 all the way up to $80. We then had the market as a whole dump 25%. Now, our native DEX is still paired with BNB, so that's going to cause a bit of a correction on DRIP, but we've outperformed BNB. So there's obviously fresh capital being coming into DRIP, not being removed from DRIP. So yeah, that's kind of the long answer to it. It's like, yeah, you expect to see some minimal shakeup. The shakeup for the shakeup that we'll see in L2 is going to be significantly less than the shakeup in L1 because those people that have gotten into so the price correction we saw in DRIP was not due to a higher APY in Rev days after the launch, right? It was people taking profit in DRIP to create that initial pairing of whatever pool they got into. Once that was created and once we got past that initial launch phase, it's been steady capital coming back into DRIP. And a lot of that has to do with just DRIP on itself, but also the exposure and the new value we're bringing into DRIP. With L2, that liquidity has already been created. So, I don't see any kind of, massive wave of people taking DRIP profits to add to a liquidity pair, right? Those liquidity pairs have already been created. So I just see more use case, more utility, and more pressures that are causing price appreciation in DRIP. And anybody that does some sort of, short-term speculation in DRIP will end up paying more in the end because those same people, they paid their 10% to deposit, they paid their 10% to withdraw, they paid their 10% to sell. So that's a 30% hit, right? And now DRIP is back around, $75, $80 around that point. It's just about where it was before the launch of the farm. It's not down 30%. So those people that tried that short-term speculation, they're now out of DRIP, and they paid more in taxes than any kind of, hit than they would have taken if they just stayed in DRIP. So, it's these kinds of things are like, if you're someone that's like hyper focused on short-term movement, maybe you might want to make a big deal about it. But people that see the long-term vision for this recognize that the animal farm and everything else we're doing is a massive, massive benefit. And it's a massive promotional point for DRIP. All these people that ask what's the utility for DRIP, it's another utility for DRIP. And it's a huge incentive for people to buy DRIP and remove it from circulation. So, so that's that. And any kind of shakeup that we'll see in the launch of L2 is not going to be anything comparable to what we saw with L1 because the majority of people that did remove liquidity or, sold DRIP at the launch of L1, they did it to add liquidity. That liquidity is already added. And you have to keep in mind that DRIP limits people on how much that they can withdraw, right? So we had a lot of people that have been in since pre-sale that were up tons of money that used the launch of L1 as their opportunity to take profit and get into that. Those same people now 2 weeks later, they don't have the ability to remove drip like they just did, because it's only a 1% daily ROI that becomes available. On top of this, we're getting close to the end of the year. Drip has a 365 max payout for people that aren't compounding. So that means that all those people that got into drip at launch and at pre-sale and have just been draining it or building up drip for the opportunity to drain it, all those people are hitting max payout. This is extremely bullish because that means that very shortly, in the next month or so, the only people that are going to be left with available payouts in drip are people that got in after launch and after pre-sale and people that are compounding. And these people don't have nearly the size stakes as the people that got in at launch and they've just been accumulating, right? So drip is about to hit a major turning point where all of that early whale money is going to start drying up and it's going to be that much more decentralized, and the share, holdings of everybody involved will be that much more spread out, and everybody has that much smaller of a share. Because those people that came in on pre-sale and just went all out, like I know there's a couple people that made millions of dollars, and they went hard, and now they've been taking profit. They're hitting max payout within a month, and that's a ton of money that will not be leaving the system that is currently leaving the system. And we're still seeing price appreciation against the crash of the rest of the market while these people are taking profit who won't be able to take profit in about a month. So, drip is about to really, really show people what it's made out of. Not just in the partnership, just in the core mechanics of our core contracts, get to a kind of terminal point where those early whales that have not been growing the system are hitting their max payout and will not be able to drain anymore. We're getting there. We're about a month away.
Hi, Forex. Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm currently in the stable coin pools, so the TUSD and BUSD. Are we going to see those pools in L2?
Yeah, all the pools that are in L1 will be in L2. Any additional pools that we add is going to be through our layer 3 vaults in the form of partnerships. And the way that will work is there'll be people that want to want exposure and want the utility of our platform. They'll give a share of their total supply to be used as a reward for people that get into those L3 vaults. So, for example, say let me just throw a random project out there that won't cause any drama. Wrapped ETH. Let's say that Vitalik comes to me tomorrow and he's like, I want ETH to be a partner with the animal farm. What I'll say to them is, all right, what we need to do is put aside some percentage of the total supply of wrapped ETH to be used as a reward for people who enter the vault. And then people who pair our core tokens with wrapped ETH will get paid out in the wrapped ETH rewards that have been put aside by that team to be used as a reward. And it acts as a major cross promotion for both teams. And it allows us to add more pairs and more opportunity to our farm without adding more emission and more inflation to do it, because the rewards that are being paid out are in our partners' tokens, not in ours. But it still, incentivizes people to buy more of our tokens, remove more of our tokens from circulation, lock them up, and it incentivizes people to buy more of our partners' tokens as well and add more liquidity to our partners' tokens. And then the cross-promotion, the utility we provide. So it's a major win-win. And because of this, I'm going to need to put someone on full-time just handling these partnership requests because I have them crazy backlog right now. There's dozens of projects who are reaching out. Some of them big, some of them small. And I need to start going through these. So I'm going to end up putting one of my admins essentially in charge of just dealing with partnerships because we're at that point now. So guys, if I'll answer like 3 more questions, but then I got to get going because I have people waiting for me for.
All right, can I ask one question and make a statement as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
So first question is, someone wanted me to ask you what happens if we don't pull out after the liquidity is pulled, like if we have something in one of the pools, what happens there? And then also my statement is that I noticed the Manor Farm has attracted a lot of new people that don't really know you and that don't really know the drip. And so I actually made a little documentary about you. And I just wanted to say
That's awesome.
that I made that. If I could get some permission to post that for you. Worked pretty
I would
hard on
say,
it.
yeah, you can post whatever you want, make whatever you want. If you want me to promote it, of course, which I'm sure you do, just DM it to me and I'll get a chance to watch it. And then for sure, yeah, we'll promote it.
Sure, man. I'd love that. I worked pretty hard on it.
Yeah. And then what I would say about if you are providing liquidity to any of the pools or farms, there is no locking mechanism. So if you don't remove them from the contracts, they'll just remain in the contracts till you do remove them. And that's that. If you have, say, just to throw some name, BUSD, USDT, you have that in the Manor Farm right now. For whatever reason, you get sick, you don't have attention or whatever the case is, and the Manor Farm ends, and now it's been a week, and you still haven't withdrawn them, you can just go to the Manor Farm front end and withdraw them. They're still there. They're not locked. And that's it. There's, any LP tokens or single assets that are in the Manor Farm, they're accessible to the owners of them at any point. You can withdraw them, and that will always be the case, right?
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yep.
Yeah, as far as the pre-sale, right? It seems like it's two pre-sales, a private and a public. For the private, it says you need 300 REAP, right?
Yep.
So for those that buys that 300 REAP, right, do they get like first dibs and after it's the public? How does that go?
It's the private is limited. So the private raise will be limited to a percentage of the capital that we migrate over. So we don't know how much capital will be migrated over from L2, from L1 to L2 until L1 finishes. But the amount of capital that we'll raise privately will be based on a percentage of that that capital that's migrated over, and it will be primarily for people in the DAO. Not only that, I have a friendly dev, right? Someone that I know is a solid dev who has created a project that I think is pretty cool. I think it has some good potential, and we're gonna raise capital for him privately in the next couple weeks. So that's gonna be another huge private pre-sale opportunity that are only for DAO members for a project that isn't mine, but that I have confidence in. And on top of that, we have a few other projects that are building on top of Drip, a few other development teams, and they're going to have private raises as well. And we're going to handle at least a portion of those private raises in the DAO. So there's about to be a bunch of opportunity for people to get into private pre-sales, not just projects that I've developed in the DAO group. So I would say what always happens is when it's announced and we give some sort of countdown for the private sale in the DAO, the price always breaks new all-time highs. It always does 10, 20x, usually 20 plus X. So if you're interested in that, I would say try to beat people to the punch. Don't wait till the announcement and the countdown to buy when it's 20x higher.
But if you're in a DAO, you already have a heads up.
Yeah, so the people that are in the DAO, they already know the project that we're going to be doing a raise for. That's one of my friend devs. It's in review. So what we do is I have people reach out to me all the time that want to raise capital. In our DAO group, we can raise hundreds of millions of dollars in seconds, right? I can make a call, say, what do you guys feel about this? If they like it, we set a date, and we can raise hundreds of millions of dollars like instantly. So that's a lot of power. So I have a lot of dev teams coming to me wanting us to handle their private raise. And they also know that, we can give them exposure, and anybody that does a raise through me, I've done my own audits with their contracts, me and my team. And we also, any kind of capital that I raise for another project, I handle it the whole way. I'm the one that adds the liquidity. I'm the ones that locks liquidity. This is the way we can ensure the DAO members that there can't be any kind of rug pull or any kind of thing like that. So people that are in the DAO, they get the assurance that any kind of raise that we do in there has been vetted by me. The capital raise and the liquidity is being added by me and locked by me. And then once it's locked, I migrate the ownership over to the dev team. So, Reap is my first project that I launched under my own name. I work for a lot of other major development teams like MaDAO and BlockClout and a ton of, I could list dozens of Trust Swap, and I could list dozens of teams that I worked with. Reap was the first one that I just went out on my own and built my own token, and I created a DAO out of it. And right now we're up something like 17,000% from listing. And every time we do a raise, we break a new all-time high. And we typically do 20 plus X when that announcement's made. So this was one of my examples of, when we launched B-Reap, some attention got taken away from Reap, and there was a little bit of a shakeup in the first 24 hours or something. But now you look a year later, and Reap is up 17,000% higher than it was before we launched Reap, and that's because these new projects that we added new utility, new demand, new use cases, new incentives to buy and lock the token. And that's the same with Drip. That's the same with any project I build. Whenever I create a project, it's how is this project going to affect the current ecosystem? How is it an improvement on the current ecosystem? And how will it benefit holders of my existing projects? And I always go into projects with this kind of mind state. And that's the reason why Reap is at all-time high, like 2 years later, even though I've launched 3 or 4 other projects, depending on how you want to define projects, staking contract tokens, So you can go.
So basically, just joining the DAO it's a benefit to get into the pre-sale, but it's also a benefit for other projects. So and it's also, it wasn't like the 300 Reap is just for the pre-sale only, and and what happens to your coin, your token, Reap token. But I get it.
No, you hold those Reap tokens, so
you keep it.
You buy, you keep it. So you hold those 300 Reap tokens. When you have those 300 Reap tokens in your wallet, you can then interact with a link that if you go into the Drip Telegram group, you hit //DAO, it will give you a link. You can click that link. That link will bring you to a website. That website will ask you to connect your wallet. When you connect your wallet, it will see if you have 300 or more Reap in your wallet. If you do, it will give you a link to a private Telegram group. This private Telegram group is where we do all our raises. That Reap never leaves your wallet. You always have that Reap. You can sell it in the future. If it leaves your wallet, you will get automatically booted from the DAO group because that bot is constantly monitoring the blockchain, constantly monitoring your wallet. And if that Reap ever moves from your wallet, it acts as an administrator in the private group and will kick you. But as long as you have that Reap in your wallet, you can, not only is it where we host private raises from all of my projects and my friends' projects, other developers that I trust, it's also a great information sharing group. We're always in there talking about our different plays, what we have going on, what we think is good. The project Spell, we got into Spell at launch. It ended up doing like 250, 300x. And I announced getting into it at launch because I had developed a protocol that was Spell. Essentially, it was exactly Spell before Spell was a thing. But I decided to go with Drip instead of that. And I kind of put that on the shelf, and then Spell launched, and I was like, oh, this is a good project. I was going to launch this project, so I already knew the mechanics very well. And I told the people in the DAO, hey, this is going to be big. I know the developer. I know the game theory. It makes sense. I'm getting into it. And then it did 200, 300x, whatever it did. So we have information sharing like that. It's not a call group. I would never say it's a call group because I'm not telling people to buy or sell. Yeah, but it's a good information sharing group.
A little private alpha Telegram group. Sort of. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, you answered it correctly. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Forex?
Go ahead.
Just I'm a aspiring blockchain dev, and I'm just looking like where could we potentially send resumes if you're looking for anybody. I'm an investor in both as well. I'm in Drip and the Animal Farm.
Yeah. So if you send something to On, he'll forward it to me, or I don't want to or Angel, he'll forward it to me. If you send it to me, I likely won't see it because I get so many messages every day that they just get buried. But
I believe you.
But yeah, well, one of the reasons for that is because my Telegram is associated with our Coin Market Cap and our CoinGecko and our Dex tools and all of these sites. So there's all kinds of like bots and spammers and all these people that are just looking at the owners of newly listed projects or listed projects and just send them DMs all day, every day. So I get like thousands of DMs all day, every day. So the best way to tag me and tag an admin in one of the groups, and then also DMing an admin and let it know. And you can try to DM me. If I see it, I'll get to you, but I just rarely see it. And we are always looking for people, you know. What I would say the thing that we could use the most right now is like front-end React devs that have experience in like web design. That's probably where we need where we could, I don't want to say use the most help, but we could contract out some tasks there. We have room for that. As far as like contracts, we kind of have that handled, but you know, I have multiple people that are coming to me that want to build something for Drip that need developers. I have people all the time asking me to develop things. So if someone wants to develop and come to me, I don't have time for it. I could always forward them to someone that I know is a good dev that has something to do with Drip, right? So yeah, it makes sense if you wanna reach out to me, and you know, I'll add you to my DM group or one of my DM folders. So I'll end up probably seeing it if you send me a DM.
Thank you,
Forex,
sir.
you know what I was gonna say, Forex? Look, guys, take an example from what the Grinch did. He went out on his own and he made a calculator for Drip. So I think one of the best resumes that you could show Forex is you actually going on your own and building something that maybe the community can utilize, and then you can say, "Yo, Forex, look, I built this," and that'll be so impressive to show Forex that you took it upon yourself to build something that the community can actually use.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of room for that too. There's so much room for people to build tools and analytic tools and, you know, charting software and, you know, different kinds of indicators that could, for example, an indicator I was thinking of would be an indicator that looks at the contract, because we have the ability to send read calls to the contract to be able to see how many people are staked, how much they have, how much net positive they are, how much they'll be able to withdraw in the future, how much they've already withdrawn. So someone could build a front end with a bunch of indicators that tell like how much capital is in the system, how much is still available to be claimed in the future, how like the top 10 holders hit max payout. Like there's so many different indicators that could be built that anybody could step up and build. And, you know, there are things that I want to build in the future, but of course we have so much we want to build. People from the community could step up and build it. And sure, not only would be a massive help to you as an investor in Drip, you would also get a lot of attention. It will help you build your team. You'll get donations. The Grinch has monetized his platform. There's like a pro version. So there's so much room to be had for people that want to build specifically indicators for Drip, like some of the things I was just mentioning. And if you want some ideas for that, maybe we could get on like a 3-minute call or something. I could just give you a quick breakdown of some cool things that could be built.
Yeah, I wrote those down, so thank you.
Your DAO community, we have to have 300 reps.
Reap is the first token. It's an ERC20. It's the first one I ever launched. It's like over a year old. It's like almost a couple years old. And it's doing amazing. It's essentially the ERC20 version of BREAP. It has the same exact mechanics of BREAP. It launched before BREAP, but instead of being tied into the Drip network, it's a DAO token. So it gives access to a private group.
I just want to say it's all in the documentary. I'll post it right now.
How do you
Okay, DM it to me first, so I can check it out.
Will pre-sales be for both pigs and dogs, or will one pre-sale be allocated for 50-50?
So you send in, if you're in the DAO, you send in BUSD. If you're sending in Rev, which is the public raise, you'll send in the Rev, and you'll get an equal dollar amount of dog and pigs, and it will be handled automatically. You just send the Rev in, and you get back equal dollar amount of of P dog and P pig, right? Which stands just for the pre-sale token of dog and pig.
There is no limit for Rev.
There's no limit for Rev, and the reason why we don't have to limit Rev is because all of that capital is being migrated over and then paid out over a period of time. So it essentially takes all that demand, locks it up, and then slowly pays it out over the course of the L2 rollout period. So because of that, we don't need to have any kind of cap on the Rev. Also, 40% of all of the capital that is migrated over goes directly to buying and removing from circulation the dog and pig tokens. So I'm more bullish on the game theory and mechanics of the Manor Farm. I hope the Manor Farm and now the Animal Farm, which is our L2 implementation. I'm gonna head off now. If Bartertown or anybody wants to stick around, we can keep the voice chat open. Let me just say that I'm extremely appreciative to everybody that stayed in here and listened to all of the details of the platform. I know a lot of you are just as excited as I am. You guys are very intelligent, one of the most intelligent groups of people I've ever found in crypto, and this is very apparent by the civility and the how everybody works together, the cooperation in the group, and in the performance of the tokens itself, because you could tell people really realize where the value is and how to exploit it. And it's not in the short-term flip. It's in the ownership of a network, which is what you're getting exposure to here in the next few days. So we're going to change the game. We are implementing multiple mechanics that give us a first mover advantage. We're addressing both the supply and demand side to cause price appreciation in any given market conditions. Right now, if you think the market is kind of shit and we're going down, the best way to play bear markets is through a yield farm lending protocol. You're not going to make profits from shorting crypto, at least not in the long term. And most likely you'll get liquidated. If you deal with one of these centralized lending protocols, you're going to make 15% a year, maybe, and hopefully whoever owns it doesn't run away with the money or they do something stupid. The Animal Farm is the only true decentralized lending protocol that lends collateral at low risk to PancakeSwap while allowing you to farm yield as a liquidity provider. It's the only one that allows you to be in ownership of the network. It's the only one that allows you to secure BUSD and remove that element of speculation, remove that that incentive for selling. It allows you to secure profit, take risk off the table in the form of BUSD. Tens of millions of dollars worth of BUSD are going to get paid out just in the first couple of weeks of launch of L2. And it's something that I'm extremely proud to present to the people that are involved in Drip and BREAP and REAP and all of my projects. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. And we'll do this again. I'll get back on here in the next couple of days, definitely before the launch. But I have a few big YouTube interviews to take care of. So we'll be doing another AMA with X Network, which is the largest venture capitalist crypto group. They have a private venture capitalist group that has people that have been around in the space since the early 2011, 2012 that are super whales. hundreds of them that are involved in that group that I'm about to do an AMA for. It will then be transcribed and released on a Medium article. We'll also be marketing to their public groups. As soon as I get out of this call, I have a couple meetings with development teams and also a marketing team that are waiting for me to send capital over so we can get more banner ads, some more placements up on some high traffic sites. And, I would say most importantly, we all need to work together to get out there and spread the word. What will help with that is different translations, right? So we're working on native translations for both Drip and the Animal Farm, and a UI update for Drip. But stay tuned. Next Thursday, we'll be launching and releasing the full 2022 roadmap for Drip, which is extremely bullish. And, there'll be more info dropping in the next couple days. I got something pretty big to announce tomorrow as well involving one of these NFT projects. So you guys will hear about that. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I'll leave it open for a bit. And I got to head off, but I'll leave it open for a bit if one of the admins or anybody wants to, take over for a while, or Bartertown or anybody. But thanks, everybody, for being here. And, let's get it. We're changing crypto.
This has been one of the best AMAs I believe I have ever been a part of. I recently talked about my strategy on the Rev token going into layer 2. And I sent that out to my newsletter subscribers, my Crypto Passive Profits newsletter subscribers. You can subscribe to that newsletter. It's in the description. It's totally free. But there I told them right around the $30 mark, I told them that I was looking for a signal that we were at a bottom. We got that signal. I told them I ended up purchasing. We wrote it up, and now we're over $80 per Rev token. I told them specifically what I was going to be doing going into layer 2. And now with this, with the info that we got here, I'm going to be shifting that strategy up a little bit. So if you want to know exactly what I'm going to be doing, make certain you subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter down in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what I know. What ForexShark is doing, the man is intelligent. He understands how to develop. And most importantly, he understands economics and tokenomics that drive users to want to be able to participate. And that is something that is incredibly rare in this entire ecosystem. He's got it. He understands it. This is extraordinary, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Do me a favor and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments. Say, "Wealth, I stayed till the end." Thank you so much for watching.